Throughout the years of Yu-Gi-Oh, there has always been an established meta. And that meta goes on to influence what people typically play at the larger events. But what if you took a list of every deck from the September 2011 meta, randomized them, and put them into their own single elimination bracket tournament, allowing for exactly one of every different type of deck to be represented? In this series, Joe and I will be playing out a full single elimination bracket tournament. Each week, Joe and I will be playing a different deck, and whatever deck wins will move on, and whatever deck loses will be eliminated. The goal of this series is to see if the traditional meta will reign supreme, or if a new champion will be crowned. Be prepared for jank winning, meta losing, and for the format as we know it to be turned upside down. Welcome to the Tournament of Tournaments.
Alright, today I'm going to be playing Frog Monarchs. Pretty typical Frog Monarch deck. Looking at the deck list, we have 3 Rises. There was actually a time where Rise was limited to 1, so this deck plays basically 10 Monarchs plus a copy of Light and Darkness Dragon to give it 11 reasonable tribute monsters, and then in the side deck we have other tribute monsters, Jinzo, Vanity's Fiend, for example. The deck's a pretty interesting deck. It's a deck that's been around for a while. There were early versions of Frog Monarchs, basically since the instant that Swap Frog and at some point Substitute, which would eventually get banned because of Frog FTK, were legal. So there are versions of this deck from Edison. There are versions of this deck that you would have seen during, it's technically Edison format, at least March of 2011 or 2010, but that summer format with Frog FTK and X-Sabers and Infernities. Technically Frog Monarchs was the deck, sort of the middle portion of what began as Edison format. And then even as the formats progressed after that, you would still sporadically see Frog Monarchs. At least on the periphery, there were some cool water synchro versions of Frog decks that existed, sort of right when Tengu was released. This particular deck, though, is just focusing strictly on the Monarch package. It's kind of a frustrating deck to play against because I remember playing against this deck back in the day and feeling like I could never beat them because Gores, Trag, and Battle Fader made it so that they were very resilient to OTK pushes, and then putting anything on the field, for example, like a Deep Prison, Mirror Force, would always just get sucked up by a Monarch effect. Even Book of Moon doesn't feel great. So it's a really difficult deck because it applies pressure. You really need to come out of the gates firing, because if you let Monarchs get going and then every turn they just summon a Monarch and you're not actually progressing your game state or your gameplay, it's going to be a snowball effect, like an avalanche against this deck. But then sometimes you sit down and play this deck and you draw, you know, MST, Econ, Caius, and you can't do anything. So it's funny how with this deck, when it sees Frog early and gets Tribune Frog in the graveyard and then sees a steady stream of Monarchs, it's almost impossible to beat. Backed up by some hand traps, it feels like it's just an impossible best deck of the format. Then you sit down and play it and you draw the hands where you just have no ability to do anything at all. Like, this is not a deck that you get to, you know, make some finite plays to sneak your way through the early stages of the game and then hopefully prolong the game. When you can't do anything, you can't do anything. You know, double Soul Exchange, enemy controller, some Monarch. Well, I guess with Monarchs it's not bad, but you know, there's so many combinations of hands where you just can't do anything. So it's a cool deck. It's a deck I really like. I love playing the Monarchs. It definitely has its limitations. And in retrospect, I think some of these Battle Fader, Tragodia type cards could probably get replaced. I don't know how much I like the idea of tributing a Monarch for Tragodia. But the reason to have these is that you're only playing, in this case, one trap, if any traps. And you don't want to get OTK'd all the time because you don't have these in your deck. But that being said, though, you know, when your hand is Battle Fader, MST, Enemy Controller, Soul Exchange, and then you draw another Trag, then a Veiler, you can only do that so long as you just lose the game because you don't actually have anything. And then at that point, sometimes it's hard to actually come back. You know, as cool as Monarchs are in clearing the field with Caius and Ryza, unless you're backing them up with enemy control and Soul Exchange, it really is difficult to break an established board, right? You summon one Monarch, and if they Solemn Warning it, you basically lost the game. Sometimes you can enemy control and attribute their best card for Caius or Ryza, and then that can sometimes break the field, but that only breaks the field to a certain degree, right? If they have 2 or 3 monsters on the field, 2 or 3 back rows, this deck has a really difficult time breaking established fields without very particular combinations of cards or the opponent just having a weak field. And I know when I use the phrase break the field, you might be thinking about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! But even back in the day, you know, if they have a Tengu, a Monarch, a Synchro Monster, 2 or 3 back rows, Yeah, you can Kai's away the Stardust and try and attack the Tengu, but if they, play Book of Moon or something, well, now all of a sudden you're passing to them with these defensive cards. Like, these are not great defensive cards. So it's an interesting deck. Sometimes it feels like it's impossible to win with it. Sometimes it feels like it's impossible to beat. It's kind of that interesting deck that the games are either incredibly one-sided or total just snowball effects in your favor. But nevertheless, we're going to take a look at Frog Monarchs. Really cool deck.
All right, we're back. Apologies, guys, that I had to skip a week. I was going through some personal stuff, having a rough time, which is why you guys should hit the subscribe button. Help your boy get back to his old self. We having some struggles, but that being said, we're over here playing Vayu Turbo today. We're busting it out, and one thing that I like about this deck, especially compared to its Edison counterpart, is the fact that with BLS involved and like more chaos orc, it really lets you enable yourself to run this as like a chaos deck on top of the Vayu Turbo engine. So by using things like charge into Raiko, you can mill effect failures or Thunder Kings or whatever, and then you just set up a nice little package, and it basically just makes it where it feels like very efficient. Like every card in your graveyard becomes a resource for the likes of either like a Chaos Orc, BLS, even Dark Armed, or just Vayu. But overall, this deck is very explosive and very resilient. I feel like it can get a lot done in a very short amount of time, and I honestly think it's pretty underrated for its time as well. So yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited for the matchup even. I think this is going to be a unique matchup to play. But yeah, we'll just hop right into those games. All right, Tournament of Tournaments, episode 19. We're coming in with a couple of the Edison classics, playing Vayu Turbo versus Monarchs. We got the spicy lists, except we don't get the oppression, which is a good or bad thing, depending on who you are.
I mean, in all honesty, oppression wouldn't be very good against Frog Monarch. So
yeah, that's true.
Just keep bringing back Treebone Frog. You can pay 800 all you want.
All right, well, I'll pick Rock. We'll go second this time. Finally caught a dub, put an end to my losing streak. Hopefully I can keep it going. I think this matchup is pretty even as well, so it's going to be interesting.
All right, we'll start with Swap Frog.
Okay.
And I will use his effect.
Sure.
And I will send Treebone Frog.
Yeah.
And I'll bounce him to my hand.
All right.
And I guess you can go.
Draw for turn.
Keep it simple.
Go standby main. I'm going to normal summon Greffer and activate the effect.
That resolves.
Alright, I'm going to dump a Vayu.
I accept.
And I think I'm just going to poke in for 17.
I accept.
Main 2, I'll set 1 and pass back to you.
Draw. This.
No. Okay.
Swap Frog effect.
Sure. Do you have the young tribute for Caius? Bounce the Caius back for Cosmic Gachi?
Yeah, that is what I'm going to do. Yep, I was trying to see.
Yeah, okay, I figured.
Alright, you don't play Gores. Okay. So I still think it's better. What's this? 12. Yeah, it's better to attack and then go into main phase 2. Bounce this to my hand. Go into Gachi. Alright. Yep.
Draw. Ugh. This is currently a pickle. I guess I'll lure.
I accept.
None of this is very good. I guess I'll do that last.
Stand by.
Yeah. It's fine. That's fine.
Dark monster. Dang. Okay. I guess that was a possibility.
That's 900 and 2400. We're still alive.
You are still alive, yeah, unfortunately.
How do I get out of this, though?
I don't know. I do not know. Go ahead.
Draw.
Get to 3 darks, I guess would be one option.
Okay. This is technically a play. It just sucks ass.
Alright.
We're gonna use Vayu effect.
Yep, that's fair.
Make an armed wing.
I accept.
Normal summon elf in the raid. And use inspect to put Kai's to defense.
I see.
Don't you dare fail it.
I don't think your deck has any extenders, so I'm going to veil it.
Alright, I had the dad, I just needed the third dark, and the Caius play was too nutty. The Gachi plus Caius was way too good.
Yeah, that's a good play. It was my only Monarch, so getting the Caius back was really important with these 2 cards in hand.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it was like perfect. It was perfect. I saw it, saw the angle. I was like, oh, this is really bad for me if that's what you have, and it was what you had. But all right, look at the game 2.
Alright, we'll see how this goes.
Well, the first game was a little sus, but you know, this one for sure. This is where I turned it all around. Are you gonna draw a dueling book? There we go. All right, we'll go stand by main. I'll start with an allure.
Results.
Well, normal Thunder King, and I'll pass.
Go.
Drop. I will normal summon Dark Greffer. I'll activate his effect.
Resolves.
Send this card to the grave.
So this makes us 7.
Yeah, and I feel like you're...
This is Silverwind. Is this the 28 guy?
No, this will be Armor Master.
Oh, this is just armor. Yeah, that's a silly statement. Let me just think for a second.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to attempt Vayu.
Yeah, if you have Burial, the 1 Burial in this format, I get kind of blown out by this, but...
Okay, that's fine.
It is what it is.
Assuming this is a 2K beater, we'll take 100. Oh, shit, it was not. Alright, well, I think it's probably best to not play into Trag here, and I'll just pass.
Trying to bring back my frog.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I'll crowd that.
Alright, good.
Draw. That's pretty good. I'm gonna use Greffer's effect. Send this Armageddon Knight to grave. And we'll send Vayu to grave. I'll do Vayu's effect.
Yep.
Do another crow.
No. No.
Alright. We'll make an Armor Master. I will then enter battle phase. And we'll do 17.
I guess I'll do this.
Okay. Let's see, what do you have in your hand? There's a good chance you have a Monarch. Yeah, I'll just pass.
Could be better. I'll banish that in just a sec.
Oh, I think I have to Valor it. I'll take 800. Right? Or no, 700. 600.
You got Blackluster Soldier?
I do not.
Okay. So your cards in hand are that good? That's interesting. Probably just going to lose then. If you're Valoring the Stalos there.
Yeah, it is pretty worthwhile. Because I can special this. We'll declare.
Yeah.
And let's see. I mean, I'll just Burial.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah, I figured that's good. Nice. What was the rest of your hand? Did you have, like, no more battle traps?
2 MSTs. And Tribute Monsters.
Yeah, I figured. That's the old Monarch Bane. Good old lad.
Yeah, the crow hurt on the Treebone Frog, obviously.
I'm surprised you left Ladin against this deck. I could just Vayu burn it.
I guess that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that interaction.
Alright,
well, I'll definitely sign him out.
we'll do game 3. I should have
the
done the leak. So far, it's a quick couple of games.
Alright, Swap Frog.
Swap Frog is fine.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just realized I trolled really hard. That's okay. No one will even know when they watch this back what I did wrong. We'll use Card Trooper's effect.
I accept.
R.I.P. I've got a light in the dark though.
Yep.
I'll poke.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Tribute Card Trooper.
I'm lagging. There we go. Yeah, that's fine.
Declare his effect.
Yep.
This one.
Taking damage. It's by 100,
Yeah,
so take 500.
500.
Damn.
Nice. It's like Mirror Force and Solemn. I guess it could still be Warning, I guess. Alright, go ahead.
Draw. Well, this is a bit awkward, that's for sure.
So I attack into Raikou. Is that what this is? It's fine. Okay. Zephyrus the Elite, huh?
Yeah. We're doing what we can. We have a bit of a struggle bus
No,
right
that makes
now.
sense. Worried about Dark Arm Dragon. That is definitely a worry. So you would only hold Mirror Force if you had Dark Arm. So maybe it's not Mirror Force or Deep Prison. Solemn is still plausible. MST is plausible too, but I don't think you keep MST-ing against me. So probably not MST. So just Torrential Judgment Warning type cards, I guess. Thoughts?
I feel like I should warn you.
Okay, so that was warning. All right,
Alright, big money.
you can summon Dark Arm if you have, I suppose.
Actually, hold on. Before I do, I will normal summon the Sirocco. I did just rip the Dark Arm, which is pretty popular.
Okay.
Do I wanna... I guess it doesn't hurt to banish to pop. Yeah, we'll pop.
Sure.
I'll go 2,000. $28.
I'm gonna drop Gores because I literally just have to because I'm at 13.
Yeah, well, I'll double banish, I suppose, in main too.
Yep.
And I will pass. Yeah, that's fine.
Effect.
Yeah. I see the game you're playing here.
It's good.
Yeah. I will judgment. That's half of 55, 2750.
2750. Alright, so this one wasn't Judgment the whole time. You drew Judgment, so whatever that was, you set 2 cards at the same time. Huh. All right. Well,
It's not over for you unless I rip an arm out.
no, it's not.
Space in the back row, huh? Are you ready for the big reveal?
Oh, he sided out.
I cited
Raikou.
out the right code, forgot I had the charge.
That would be a good bluff, yeah. That worked.
Yeah.
That's why you said 2 cards.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I wish I had do something other than what I'm about to have to do.
Reborn. Oh, the Black Rose play. 400.
Good.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe I could put Ancient Fairy in defense, but that doesn't.
Well, no, because if you enter battle phase, then Sirocco.
I just wouldn't kill Sirocco.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would just leave you with both of those, but that just seems...
But if I rib
I don't know,
Armageddon Knight, you lose.
I would probably lose. I would lose either way, because then you just Dark Arm banish the guy you send.
Yeah.
So...
We will see what the top deck is. Oh, yeah, it's game.
Yeah.
Nice. Holy shit. Yeah, I'm trying to think about... Well, you had Ronin in grave. You could have banished Ronin.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could have done that. I forgot I could have done that.
Do you want to...
Let's just say I did that.
Yeah, do you want to do that? Yeah.
That's totally stupid. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like totally forgot.
All right.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. All right, you see. All right, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, do you still want to summon that?
Let's see.
Yeah, that's silly, man. I mean, I still think you summon that because you're at the 2350. I mean, because I can just bring back a frog and then banish the frog, like banish the Ronin. So it's not like you
Yeah.
lose.
The only case I could think for not doing Greffer is all Monarchs are mandatory, so if you rip a Caius or a Ryza...
No, I just do this. I just bring this back and then put this on top of my deck or banish it.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's worth summoning.
So this,
So I'll just see
yeah.
what happens here.
I didn't draw one, so
Nice. So the walls...
I'll just wall up behind Roan Tonin.
Okay, this is actually big. We got the Rhoda.
All right, yeah, you can get a dark now.
I can
You can at least...
Yeah, we'll get this, we'll normal this, activate its effect. Dump a Vayu.
Yeah.
And that's...
Yeah.
Did you draw the crow?
I wish it was Crow, because Crow would just be better than what I did draw, but what I drew keeps me alive for at least one more draw.
Oh, you got Vader?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll do...
So this dies.
Attack.
This dies.
Attack into the Vader.
All right.
Oh, God.
I need to draw... What's my out here?
Caius?
No. Just MST. All right, now you won.
Ah!
Now you won for real.
Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, if you Caius, I take 1,000. Oh, no, I guess you couldn't do game there even with Caius top deck.
Yeah, but at least I deck over the Greffer, and then you're top decking like with very little again.
Oh, yeah, but then I would just rip this big boy.
All right, fair enough.
Vayu Turbo just greater than Monarchs.
It just needed to be Ryza. I needed to draw Ryza to spin back your
Oh, yeah. Spin
Greffer, I guess.
Yeah, spin Greffa,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, swing over everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, that was pretty interesting, weirdly anticlimactic ending.
Yeah.
Of just seeing what would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was a pretty cool matchup, I guess. You didn't really see a lot of your Trigodias or anything like that either, which is kind of weird. And we also didn't see a single econ play.
No, none of that good stuff.
Let's see what's left in my deck.
It's the weird thing with this deck is that like it looks unbeatable. Like I always remember playing against Monarchs and just feeling like there's no way I can beat this deck. If I put something on the field, they get rid of it. If I try to attack for game, they stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of like, there's so many points playing against Monarchs where you just sit there and think like, if they have X, I probably lose, right?
Yeah.
It's really scary. I mean, like having like things like Valor and Warning like definitely helps give a sense of like safety and security, but yeah, no, it is an intimidating deck to play against, and I don't know, I don't even know where I put this deck, because like if it's like really good, I think it was like relatively meta in this format back in the day historically, but I don't think it's like good in modern iterations.
Monarchs?
Yeah, it topped a couple
like,
things, I think.
Yeah, but like any format with Solemn Warning, I just feel like it's so hard, because at least against cards like Bottomless, you still get value.
Yeah.
With Monarchs, like with the existence of Solemn Warning and your deck has no extenders, You just feel so helpless.
Yeah, that's also why like modern Edison takes like started doing things where they did like the absolute zero Monarch stuff like that. So you have like Miracle Fusion plays as extenders to the Monarch play. Just a
And like in retrospect, this card is horrible.
Battle Fader.
It is a horrible card.
Why do you think
And I
that?
don't even like this card.
Yeah.
Like I don't like any of these cards from a modern perspective.
Why is that?
They just don't do anything. Like
I think
and I think
Trigonia
I don't
is
even
pretty
I
powerful.
don't even like Gores anymore.
Yeah, I will.
Like I don't think you ever win with Gores. Like I don't feel like either of us have ever really won a game with Gores. It's just
Well, the issue is I think Gores is good at punishing poor play, but if you're playing properly, then you're never getting like screwed over by Gores, right?
the only time Gores is ever good is when the opponent is desperate and they have to make a play and they really have no way of playing around Gores
Yeah,
because they've just they're drawn a poor combination of cards, so they just
yeah. We'll see, and that's go ahead.
when you don't draw well, you kind of need to create this range and say, okay, I didn't draw well.
Mhm.
However, there is this range of hands my opponent could have that I could beat. I need to assume they have one of those combinations of hands.
Yeah,
And typically those hands are not hands that have Gores in them. So
yeah. No,
I don't know.
I think the only benefit Gores has is like the threat of Gores is like where it's like if it's known to be existed, then you're always gonna play around it, I guess. That's one thing with this deck here is it doesn't run Gores, and I've debated on changing that because this is my Vayu Turbo build. This is something I just kind of whipped up, but I kind of like felt the same way where it's hard to debate on Gores because I feel like it's only good if your opponent's playing poorly or in very weird situations, and the rest of the time it isn't. I will say Trag is better because it can be forced, right? Like you can crash into your opponent to slam a Trag. Versus,
yeah, I know, but I just feel like it's just so hard to like maintain the hand size. I mean, this deck it's not that hard.
I mean,
but
Monarchs is like one of the better decks to do it, right? Like you're pretty much always normal summoning a single monster, so like I think Trag definitely has strong merit. I can see what you're saying on Gores, and Fader, yeah, is like, I mean, it's basically just a hard -1 that stalls a turn, so like maybe Maxi or something is just better, right? Like another hand trap.
yeah, I could see that. I thought about putting Maxi in against you, but your deck usually is just one summon.
Yeah, Maxi doesn't really hurt this deck very much because like you can chain it to the Vayu effect, but most of the time like it's like a single normal summon and then a Vayu. It is interesting to think about though, like how maybe you can modernize Monarchs to make it a bit better because like you could also run things like Glow Up Bulb and stuff like that. Maybe go for a bit more of a synchro engine. But in that case, I think
Yeah, then it's similar to like the water turbo decks that people used to play,
yeah,
which were good decks.
yeah. And honestly, even Tengu is really good in this deck. If you're running triple
Yeah,
econ and then like a bunch of Monarchs, like it's always going to be live. So maybe there's a world where you just end up cutting the faders for a 3 Tengu, and even if you wanted to drop Gores for a glow up bulb, like keep the 1-for-1 in, and I bet this deck would actually, it might be better. Like I don't know if you go full plant engine, but you could do something like that. I don't know. It's an interesting
maybe.
discussion. I like this theory craft because it is a good point. I do think Gores is like inherently kind of bad. It's different in Edison. I think Gores is really good in Edison because there's less outs to Edison or to Gores in Edison, right? Like outside of like
Fair.
setting a Raikou or like tributing for Kaizen like main phase 2. Like here you have like Scrap Dragon, you have Dark Hole, you have BLS. And obviously warning. So there are a lot more things you can do to deal with Gores. It is kind of interesting to think about, though. I do kind of agree this card is maybe bad. But all right, I think we'll let the viewers put it in the comments. What do you guys think? You think Gores and Battle Fader and Trag? Put your opinion of each. I know like zombie players say that Trag is like best card in the deck. So I'm a big Trag fan, but I do think Fader is bad.
That format, the Diva Zombie format, the actual one, not Edison, the one before Edison, when you could play, double Mizuki and multiple Brian X. Trag was incredible in that specific format because the big push that people made was basically always backed up by Bryanak.
And you can steal the Bryo by pitching, like...
Well, if your opponent's trying to kill you with Bryo, and they even leave a card on the field so they play around Gores, they literally just dump their hand to bounce cards to your hand, so Trag comes out with 3,000 attack all the time.
Yeah.
And that, in that particular period of time, it was really, really good.
Yeah.
So, and that, of course, was also before Solemn Warning.
Mm-hmm.
So, Trag was more impactful. In addition to that, not all, but some of the zombie decks also played Royal Oppression. That became sort of progressively more popular during that format.
Yeah. And
in a format where there's no warning and people are winning with Bryanak and Royal Oppression's popular, and you add all that together, well, Tragoda ends up being a pretty good card.
Yeah.
So it has had points in time in which I think it was pretty good. I just like the whole idea of tributing Trag for a Monarch. It just doesn't feel like, I don't feel like I'm really getting ahead by doing that.
Oh yeah, no, you
and I'm not really level manipulating. I'm not really stealing all that often.
Yeah.
In the Diva zombie format, you used all of Trag's effects.
Yeah.
Because Diva was in the format, Plague was in the format, so you would always manipulate for the levels. You had 4s in your deck. You could ditch Mizuki and steal a Shura to play around Icarus attack. I mean, there's so many things you could do.
Yeah, well, I think the same application of Trag is like viable in like 2011 zombies. Like it's still very good, but yeah, it was like at least in Monarchs, like the only relevant effect to it is it's a punish for them swinging in without warning.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like it's a big boy, but again, like usually your opponent should have a plan for Trag or Gores if they're swinging in. But yeah, no, I do agree. It's more insane in other formats, but I do think in certain decks in 2011, Trag is still really insane. But I do think there's a lot of merit to what you're saying about Gores and Battle Fader, where I think these cards are actually pretty shitty once you really think about it. I guess either way, Tengu gets fucked by warning too, but you don't want to really warning a Tengu versus Monarchs. Feels kind of weird.
Depends, but yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll let the comments decide. We'll put it in there. But yeah, we'll wrap it up for this episode. So all. That is going to wrap it up for this episode of Tournament of Tournaments. As a reminder, we release new episodes of the series every single Friday, so make sure you guys are subscribed so you can tune into the next one. Other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and make sure you have a great time dueling today.